For the battered but proud people of the Empire State, from the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and we've got Bob Savage here with us.
Yes, he's not only Bob Savage, he's Bob D'Angelo. I'm lots of different people all at once.
Get two for the price of one today.
Yeah, two for the price of none in your case, but hey, you know, who's complaining, right?
How was your weekend, Bob?
It was good. It was fine.
Yeah, the weather was just amazing all weekend long.
I'll tell you what, you know, folks, you don't want to lose track of this because there's a tendency for people to, you know, you're so steeped in all of the concerns about COVID and going back to school and social distancing and trying to go to a bar and you got to, you know, buy food if you want to get a drink or whatever. You got to appreciate this summer weather. What a summer we're having.
Yeah, no, the summer's been amazing. I mean, my car has one of those little temperature monitors on it that tells me how warm it is outside. I mean, we've had a couple days that it's clocking like 100 degrees, 98 degrees.
Yeah, when I start up the pickup truck, sometimes, of course, it's because the temperature gauge is picking up all this reflected heat off the blacktop, parking lot. But I've had like 102 and 103.
Yeah, no, it's just been great. I mean, being able to just kind of walk outside, you don't need to grab a jacket or anything like that, pair of shorts, and just enjoy the sun, enjoy even the breeze has like a little bit of a warmth to it. It feels real nice.
Yep. So if the studio's a little noisy or sounds a little different, I'm in the control room, not in my usual studio that I share Monday, Radio Free New York with Andrew.
Yep, absolutely. So, and I got a chance to use the grill a couple times this weekend too, which is always a good time.
Oh, really? Anything exotic or just like hot dogs and hamburgers?
No, just like chicken thighs and, some hamburgers and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So, yep.
No gourmet, no Central European delectable grilled items?
No, actually, ironically, when I go over there, grilling isn't really a thing out there.
I think it's an American thing, pretty much.
Yeah, but it's funny because our one friend does have a grill, so when I come over, he's always excited to like pull it out, and he's like, you're from America, so you must know how to do this.
Not necessarily, from my experience, but anyway.
Yeah, but it's kind of like an interesting perception that, you're American, you must know how to operate a grill, which in my case is correct, so it just like reinforces that stereotype. Uh, but it's interesting actually. They've had a lot of burger joints pop up over there because people really like the American burgers, which is funny because when I was first going there, must have been almost 12 years ago, I think was the first time I had gone over there. A lot of people are like, oh, let me guess, Americans, all you eat is hamburgers, right? And now, like, the hamburger joints are becoming extremely popular over there, so it's kind of funny.
So what's the analog for what they would have, like for a quick meal, a fast food kind of meal over in the Czech Republic?
So you could get a fried cheese. That's pretty popular.
Fried cheese, okay.
Yeah, so what it is, it's like a slab of cheese, probably about like 3/4 of an inch thick, and it's just like a big square breaded fried with a side of like salted potatoes and a cabbage salad.
A salted potato, like fried, or are they like
no, kind of like boiled.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
like red potatoes you get at a barbecue.
No, they do like the yellow potatoes,
Oh.
and they peel the skins off of them. So you get only the potato with no skin on it. It's a little different. It's funny. Potatoes that have the skin on it over there, they call lazy American potatoes because we don't take the skin off of them.
It's the nutritious potatoes that still have the nutrients, but hey, who's keeping track?
Yeah, yeah. But the interesting thing is, a lot of times when I tell people about the fried cheese, they immediately assume that it comes with like like a red sauce,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know.
Yeah, you got to have some yeah, some dipping sauce of some sort.
But they actually use tartar sauce instead.
What?
So yeah, yeah,
Tartar
it's
sauce?
it's very different, but it's actually really, really good.
So what
And
kind of cheese is it? Like a cheddar or
so it's a hard cheese, and I think so. My wife and I were always trying to figure out like what the Czech food is in America, and it's hard to like get the translations. But we think the closest cheese is Edam cheese,
Oh, okay.
which is it's kind of like a Gouda, but a little bit harder and not the flavor's a little different too.
And breaded and deep fried.
Breaded, deep fried with potatoes, and usually a light cabbage salad that is not like a coleslaw. It's like shredded cabbage, maybe some carrots, and then like a light vinegar or something like that on it.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, a little different.
Well, we've whetted everybody's appetite now as we head into lunchtime.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're listening to the show and your lunch break doesn't happen till after the show, I apologize. You're probably really hungry right now. But no, one of our favorite things that we have been able to make here is dumplings, which is man, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like steamed bread dough. So it's not like the Asian ones. They're wrapped in meat. They're a lot thicker. And we stuff them full of like fruit and goodies, and then you boil them, and they're very, very good. A little bit of sugar on top.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. But so that's the cuisine in Czech Republic, which doesn't look like we're gonna be going there anytime soon if this whole lockdown thing keeps happening. And did I see that Cuomo is now banning travel to Canada as well? Which
Well,
I
there's been an embargo on travel to Canada for some time. That's going on. That's been going on, and I think it's been extended, which may be the story that you heard, and that's extended through August. You can go there if you're an immediate family member of someone who lives a permanent resident in Canada, and you agree to stay there for at least 2 weeks.
okay, but that's a federal one, right?
Okay, so now Cuomo's got his own. Is that what you're telling me?
I could have sworn I should have clicked on it, but yeah, I saw this thing that said Cuomo was now also banning travel to Canada, and I guess I'll have to look for it because I was like, wait, didn't the federal government already do that?
So
Why
say,
does New York State need to do
Andy,
that
so
too?
somebody got there before you, Andy. Sorry. Yeah, while you're doing all your ban happy stuff. But he was just on the news. For those of you who are listening to the flagship here in Rochester, he was just on the news saying he's going to go to Savannah, Georgia, because of course, in Democrat circles, Andy's this genius. You understand? He's got all the answers when it comes to COVID because he's done such a superb job in New York State, and we can get into this gaslighting of the American public over Andrew Cuomo's performance vis-a-vis COVID. But he's going to Savannah, Georgia. He's going to teach him all how to handle COVID down there. And somebody asked him if he's going to quarantine himself when he comes back from Georgia because that's on a travel restricted state, right?
Yep.
No,
Yep.
he's not. He's not going to quarantine.
Yeah, I saw that. Did he give did he even bother giving a reason why, or is he just like, no, like
Not
I'm
that I
not gonna
heard.
do it.
Not that I heard. I mean,
Yeah.
he may have, but not in that coverage that we just carried.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk,
You know what
talk
I
about
find?
arrogance. It's really unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like he is so arrogant, and one of the things that I found almost comical is he sat there saying, if you're young and you think you're invincible, you're not. You can still get the virus, you can still get somebody sick. Don't think that, you can't hurt somebody and all this stuff. He says all this stuff. And then he's then asked, well, you're going to Georgia. Are you gonna quarantine after that? Are you gonna self quarantine? And he goes, no.
Wonder
Wait,
what the
and it's like,
what's the
wait,
over
what?
what's the over under on whether he's going to wear a mask?
I think he'll wear a mask, but I believe he'll wear a mask just for the purposes of the media, so
Yeah,
that he
when
can
the
kind of parade around.
Cameras are
and do
rolling.
that.
So yeah, I mean, we've already seen the hypocrisy of the Cuomo family because you had his brother Fredo, who is the the host of a cable TV show that's seen by 12 people a night, and he came down with, he was diagnosed with coronavirus. I believe he actually had the active virus, and he refused to quarantine.
Yeah.
In fact, got in a fight with some guy on Long Island who noticed him and said, "Hey, you're supposed to be in quarantine."
Oh yeah. That's
that?
in the Hamptons, I think.
Yeah,
right?
he's got a house in the Hamptons because, of course, he's a Cuomo. And so instead of staying in his brownstone in Manhattan where he's supposed to hole up for 2 weeks, he's found out on Long Island. And not only is he there, he gets into a fight with some guy.
Yeah. No, I remember that story and just remember thinking that these people just believe they're so much higher and above us that they can just do whatever they want. The rules just don't apply to them. Guys, we're going to take a break here on Radio Free New York. When we come back, we are going to talk about what's going on in Oregon and with Homeland Security. Some of these reports we're hearing, there's some interesting stuff here. We're going to talk about it in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Catch a wave at Waldameer.
Waterworld opens daily at 11 with a giant wave pool, water playgrounds, relaxing river, and exciting body and tube slides like the incredible new 6-lane Rally Racer. The Rally Racer is the longest, fastest slide in Waterworld. Come experience the excitement as you race your family and friends. And Waldameer opens at noon with a variety of thrill rides and family rides like the exciting new Whirlwind spinning coaster. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, Waldameer is limited to 50% capacity, so there's no free admission. Guests must purchase admission tickets at waldameer.com or at the park. Children under 1 are free. Face masks are required. So visit waldameer.com, purchase your admission tickets, and come have some fun.
Catch a wave, catch a day at Waldameer. Your wet and wild summer getaway. Excitement waits for you at Waldameer. Waldameer in Erie, PA.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We've got Bob Savage here with us as well. And just want to talk about what's going on in Oregon. There seems to be a lot going on over there between, what's gone on with this Chaz Autonomous Zone. And now we've got protests and stuff happening in Portland, and just a lot of, I don't even know what to say, chaos. I guess chaos is maybe the best way to explain it.
let me understand. Is Chaz/Chop, is it gone? Weren't they forced to shut that down and clean it out?
No, that's a good question. I'm not sure. So did they just up and move to Portland? Is that what happened? Because it seems that Portland is now the one rising in terms of issues and news and what's going on over there.
I think they got jealous because Seattle was getting all the national press, so I think they started acting up too.
So now it's a competition.
Yeah.
See, the free market will provide.
Yeah,
you
really.
know? That's
No, by the time all is said and done, I mean, they're not going to see this for a year to 18 months. Nobody's going to want to live in that state. Nobody who's productive and who's a normal human being is going to live out there. They're just going to say, you know something, there's other places I can go, other places I can live. The country is going to start. You're going to start to see this line of demarcation where you have loony states and you have sane states, and no productive member of society is ever going to live in the loony states, because your business can get trashed, your kids can get shot. It's the schools are a disaster.
Yeah, no, I look at it and I wonder, down the line what the tax implications will be.
Oh, horrible.
Well,
Well, we're going to see it here.
yeah,
hate
for
hate
sure.
to be the I'm sure that this is already occurring to people. By the way, we saw again, the news that immediately preceded Radio Free New York on many of these same stations here at noon. The word is that Andy Cuomo's pet Excelsior scholarship program is in trouble, and it's going to be dialed back.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. And that just goes, I mean, we have such a huge deficit. It's almost crazy to think that we could afford anything in New York State at this point. But, but to circle it back to what's going on over in Oregon here, Homeland Security was deployed to protect federal property and federal monuments. It was one of Trump's executive orders, basically authorizing them to go out, protect these monuments, protect federal property due to the protests that have been happening, the damage that's happened to property, the violence that has broken out. And what's kind of interesting is that there's this U.S. Code 1315, 40 1315, which under the Homeland Security Act of 2002 gives the department secretary the power to deputize other federal agents to assist in federal protective services in protecting federal property, such as the courthouse in Portland. So this is kind of the authority that they were deriving and basically using to deputize other federal agents as well to come in and protect this courthouse. It allows those agents to carry firearms, arrest those accused of committing a crime. But here's the interesting thing: no warrant necessary. So they can arrest anybody accused of a crime without a warrant and conduct investigations, which investigation sounds like a nice way of saying, an interrogation at this point. And they can do this on and off the property in question. So I read all this to you guys. I kind of share this with you to let you know the amount of freedom, I guess, given under this law. It doesn't seem that there's a lot of restrictions at all. They can deputize another federal agent. They can arrest somebody without a warrant as long as they're accused of a crime, and then they can, quote unquote, investigate this person on or off the property in question, which means they can take you somewhere else for your interrogation. It doesn't have to be on federal property. So that kind of reading that piece of law, I wasn't really familiar with this law up until this point. Kind of gave me that little tingly sensation of, ooh, I don't like how that sounds. That
No.
sounds scary to me.
What's the rationale behind that? I don't understand. Why can't you have a warrant?
I don't know. It passed in 2002. So
Oh, okay, so we're all still reverberating from 9/11. That's what was going on
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
That's the same mindset that gave us the wonderful Patriot Act, and of course, Homeland Security and the TSA, otherwise known as getting felled up at the airport.
yeah, absolutely. So more than likely a bad law that was passed as a knee-jerk reaction and gives a lot of power to federal authorities. It seemingly unchecked power because right now Congress is like scattering to try to put in some sort of watchdog groups and ability to track how this power is being used. And it just kind of, as your average Joe citizen here, I'm sitting here thinking, ooh, that the way all that's worded, it's just
No.
seems like it could be abused, you know?
Oh yeah, kind of like the FISA courts. The FISA court. Oh no, nobody's. We're gonna have our best people keeping a close watch on all of this.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I want to know: are those things being dismantled yet? Is somebody going at? I guess we're so consumed with COVID right now, we can't focus on anything but that.
Yeah, yeah. So what has happened is in the past this has been used. However, when this was used, the local authorities have essentially like invited and allowed the federal agencies in. So like the mayor or the county exec or the governor would say, "Yes, federal government, please help us. Send your law enforcement agents. Let's work together." And because of that, that kind of granted the federal authorities the ability to arrest people not just for federal law, but also for local laws. So that's where you could have a federal agent come in and arrest you for something that is you breaking state law. Well, in Portland,
How are they making that stick? You got a jurisdictional challenge built into that.
apparently it's kind of like they cross deputize each other. Based on what I'm reading, they can cross deputize each other under this law and under other existing laws. So a federal agent could be deputized under the local authority to also enforce local laws.
Well, that's all well and good, but there's somebody else involved here, and that would be the defendant. He's going to be represented by an attorney who's going to say, "Wait a minute, you have jurisdiction for this."
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the background of the legislation is, if there's some enabling act or something, but it seems like it could be challenged on constitutional grounds because you got real due process issues there.
Yeah, so based on what I was reading, it sounds like this is used pretty commonly. So I'm not sure. There must be some sort of clause somewhere that allows for this sort of thing to happen. And what's happening now is in Portland, the mayor is not allowing it. The mayor is telling the federal agents, "No, we're not authorizing you to arrest under our local laws and ordinances, and we don't want you here." So
Right.
it seems to be this interesting situation of, federal agencies working hand in hand with state and local agencies, which appears to be a pretty common thing and has been since this law passed in 2002. People have kind of shaken hands, patted each other on the back, and allowed things to happen. Well, now somebody's saying, "No, we're not going to allow this to happen." And it's putting the federal government and these federal agencies in a very interesting situation because they're not able to do what they normally do because of it, which is interesting. So they have kind of this almost like blanket unlimited power. They can arrest people without warrants. They can take them somewhere and interrogate them. It doesn't have to be that federal property. But now they can't use local law. It has to be strictly federal law being broken. And that's where this question becomes are these federal agencies actually operating within federal law with some of the actions that they're taking? And are they actually authorized to do the things they're doing? You can kind of look at it and go, "Oh, there's some bad situations here." A lot of people are saying, "Hey, we want to restore law and order. People need to be safe. Businesses need to be protected," like all of this other stuff. But we should set that aside and just take a quick look and see, are they allowed to do what they're doing? That is the question. And also, from what I've seen, they're only protecting federal property, so it's not like they're standing there and protecting small businesses from being burnt down or protecting people's cars. Supposedly, according to them, they're only protecting federal property. So, we're going to continue this discussion after the break because I do want to talk about the people who got quote-unquote kidnapped in a van by these federal agents. I want to explore that, talk about it. So we'll do that when we come back from break on Radio Free New York.
Now, more than twice the power.
WYSL.
More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll have partly cloudy skies, a bit cooler and less humid. We'll drop back into the lower 60s, some of us maybe the upper 50s. Beautiful day on Tuesday. Little breeze off the lake, sun and clouds, cooler, less humid, 70s, low 80s. Looking ahead to Wednesday, the mugginess returns. Some showers and thunderstorms will return late in the day as well. I'm Rich Cornelia on WYSL.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
I have a question for all investors. With coronavirus wreaking havoc in the markets, are you afraid to even look at your investment statements? Hi, I'm Tom Hamilton, host of Wall Street to Main Street, heard here on WYSL every Friday afternoon. I've been an investment professional for nearly a quarter century, and I've helped investors through many market messes like the one we're in now. Maybe I can help you too. Hiding from reality is not a plan, or at least it's a terrible plan. We are where we are in the markets. We can't change that. However, the question is, what should I be doing now? If your current advisor's answer to this question is basically do nothing and hope, then maybe you should talk to someone else. Stop worrying and let's do something about it. Give me a call.
To contact Mr. Hamilton, call 585-381-9870 or go to HamiltonWealthManagement.com. That's HamiltonWealthManagement.com. Advisory services offered through Wealth Plan Partners. Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Hamilton Wealth Management and Securities America are separate entities.
A recent article reveals concerns over the negative impact aborted fetal remains are having on the U.S. water supply and environment. A student group is calling on the EPA to study it. A pro-abortion research group, the Guttmacher Institute, claims nearly 40% of all abortions in the U.S. are chemical abortions performed at home without medical supervision. The problem is that chemical abortion creates medical waste. Medical waste is hazardous and by law must be disposed of properly by the medical provider, the abortionist. The American Academy of Family Physicians states, quote, home-based health care can create medical waste which can be hazardous if not disposed properly, unquote. Yet the article goes on, quote, it's clear that the human remains of hundreds of thousands of fetal remains are in America's wastewater, unquote. For a full transcript, go to realabortionnews.com. This Real Abortion News Update is sponsored by Compass Care.
We're all busy, running to get the kids to practice, rushing to get dinner on the table, hurrying to meetings, the store, or getting to those endless lists of errands. That's why more and more Rochesterians are tuning in to the newscast that fits their schedule. News 10 NBC at 7. Exclusive investigations, up-to-the-minute breaking news, and of course, your first alert forecast. It's how Rochester gets caught up before the sun goes down. News 10 NBC at 7.
Shanks Enterprise in Lima is your full-service residential and commercial waste hauler, and we've been serving the needs of residents of Livingston County dependably for generations. In this business, operators come and go, but Shanks Enterprise will be around serving your needs and keeping in mind the interests of our community. For reliable, clean refuse collection at the most competitive prices around, call Shanks Enterprise. Whether you live in Avon, Geneseo, Lima, Livonia, or Honeoye, Shanks Enterprise is the choice of area residents for generations. Call Shanks Enterprise in Lima, 582-2120.
Stay in your car and let us do the work. The Avon Gasway on Route 39 features all-American Valero gasoline, full-service gas island, plus ethanol-free gas, on and off-road diesel, crystal clear kerosene, propane exchange, free tire pressure check and air. Open daily. The Avon Gasway, Route 39.
Enjoy summer with fresh homegrown sweet corn and veggies 7 days a week at J&A Farm Market and Greenhouses, Route 15 just south of Exit 9, the Lakeville exit off 390. Now visit J&A's new location on 5 and 20 east of the Avon exit near Bronson Hill. J&A.
WYSL.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and we're just talking about what's going on in Portland. The mayor is clashing with federal agencies, telling them they can't operate in their city. The federal agents are there to protect a federal courthouse. And in the midst of all of this that's going on, there began reports of people saying that unmarked rented minivans were driving, and people dressed head to toe in camouflage were jumping out of these cars, grabbing people, stuffing them in the van, and driving off with them. And when I first saw this, there wasn't any actual proof of this happening, so I was skeptical. But now at least one video has surfaced, and it appears that the federal government is now admitting to at least this one instance. I don't know about the other ones. But it's kind of interesting because it sounds like a Hollywood movie, you know? This idea that you're walking down the street, that's what happened with this guy. And I will put this out there. I don't totally know what's going on out there. The way this guy was dressed was kind of weird. So if they had a description of this guy, I'm sure it fit, because he was wearing kind of like this goofy black hat. And so they pull up in the minivan, they come out, they grab him, and of course people are asking, like, who are you? Who are you? And the agents do not respond in any way, identifying themselves as law enforcement. Now,
wait, let me understand. Who's getting stuffed into vans again? These are just citizens, or are these people who are suspected perps?
So what was later said is that this person was suspected of spray painting federal property, is what was said later. I don't know how much time had passed. The person didn't appear to have anything on their person in the video. They were just like walking down the street, apparently. I don't know what happened before this, and I want to make sure that that's clear. I only could see what was in the video of this van pulling up, guys coming out of the van, going, grabbing this guy, bringing him in the van, and people asking who they were, them not responding, and then driving away.
Need more information.
Yeah, definitely need more information. Now, the guy who had this happen to him has kind of like spoken out about it. He's done a couple interviews. I watched them, and he just basically said, like, or actually not this guy, his friend did the interviews. I don't think he's going on camera right now.
His friend is interviewing this guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
I'm definitely smelling
now,
something funny. Yeah.
Yeah. There is, however, so far the federal government has confirmed their story. So if there's more information to put out, they haven't put it out there yet. And I don't know why. But what he said is they took his beanie hat, pulled it over his head so he couldn't hear. Then when he was in the van, they turned up music on the radio so that he couldn't hear the chatter on their radios, which all makes sense to me, to be honest, because I know that the police have been really worried about people picking up their radio frequencies, hearing what they're saying. So those things kind of seem like tactics that would be used, turning on the radio so that somebody can't hear that. He was driven around. Then about an hour later, he was read his Miranda rights and released, and found out that he was actually taken to that federal courthouse in Portland.
The one that he had vandalized.
The one, yeah, allegedly. I don't know if that actually happened or not. They haven't said whether or not that happened or not. That's up in the air. Could be different person. Don't know. But a lot of questions have come out of this saying, can federal agents do that? Can they show up in an unmarked vehicle, grab you off the street, stuff you in a car, not identify themselves, take you somewhere, and then later you find out, oh, this is actually law enforcement? According to this person, they actually thought, and this will give you an idea of where their political leanings are, they thought that a right-wing militia had kidnapped them.
That's exactly where I was just about to go. See, the narrative of the left is whenever things get really, really out of control to the point where it's turning off the general population, where the average Joe Sixpack walking around Western New York looks at what's going on out there and says, that's nuts. I'm never going to vote for that. Well, what they try to do then is they try to do this transference where they try to portray this. They frame this as this is the alt-right. Remember the alt-right of several years ago where they tried to blame all of their loony behavior on something that's actually their behavior, but they're transferring it on the right. They're trying to make this a right-wing phenomenon, which of course it is not.
Yeah, so it was interesting because this person assumed, based on the way these federal agents were dressed, and the way they acted, that it must have been an alt-right militia who captured this guy. And the people around him were, of course, freaking out too because they couldn't tell. Were these police? Were these, some other provocateur that they didn't know?
Yeah.
And it's funny. I think it was like a Dodge Chrysler minivan or something like that. Like,
hey, don't put people in a Dodge, the Town and Country minivan. I don't think so.
Yeah, so it was kind of like it was just a really weird thing. But people are now asking the question, like, can the federal government do that? Should they be doing that? There's been some speculation that the reason they were using an unmarked van is because law enforcement vehicles were targets and being vandalized and all the other stuff.
I doubt it. The more you talk about this, the more this sounds like you have a case where somebody got arrested for vandalizing some federal property, and then the rest of this whole thing is all staged.
I mean, I watched the video.
Who happened to be around videoing when this all took place?
Well, there was a protest going on, so there were a lot of people like videotaping
what's the source of the video? Is it from a news source? Is it from a TV station?
That particular one, I'm not sure. The next one, there definitely is a video from a news station.
Okay. Does it depict the same thing?
No, that's the next story. The next story about the Army veteran. We didn't get there yet. But yeah, I would have to look and see where specifically it came from. But the federal government did confirm that it happened. So
yeah, we don't know what they're confirming, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is all anecdotal. I mean, I could see the federal government confirming that this person was arrested for some reason, but did all of this, this mysterious, Armand Khashoggi being waylaid by Saudi radio, royal family stuff. I mean, it just seems too melodramatic,
No, I agree, which is why when I saw it, I was like, does that really happen? But it appears to be confirmed. I could be wrong, and I'd be open to being wrong. But it looks like, based on the things I read, it does seem to have been confirmed. And that's I think why people started trying to say, well, why would the government be using rental cars and stuff? And that's where people are saying, well, the cars are being targeted and attacked, and that's why. I don't know if that's true.
Well, yeah, and then you distill this down, just common sense. What was the necessity for this? What did this accomplish?
lot of backlash, that's for sure.
Right. I mean, with this,
here's the other thing. I guess you could.
counterproductive.
Yeah, it seems extremely counterproductive, absolutely, which is definitely what the mayor of Portland is saying, because now the mayor of Portland is saying that the federal agents are creating more violence than what there was before they came.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Yep. So somebody could have made this up. I mean, that is definitely a possibility.
You think?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll have to dig deeper into it. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we are going to talk about the Navy veteran who tried asking officers, do they remember their oath? And that story is interesting to me. We're going to talk about that when we come back on Radio Free New York.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We're talking about what's going on in Portland. And I was actually able to find, Bob, that I guess they actually did admit that this is what they're doing. So this is Homeland Security Acting Deputy Secretary Ken Cuccinelli?
Ken Cuccinelli.
Cuccinelli, there you go. So he acknowledged that the federal agents had been using unmarked vehicles to pick up people in Portland, but said it was done to keep officers safe and away from crowds and move detainees to a, quote, safe location for questioning.
And also to fake people out and make people think that really all they're doing is going to the daycare to pick up the 3-year-old in the Chrysler Town and Country.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, like the one video I saw, the windows weren't tinted. So like it looks really weird. You see these guys pull up in this clear glass and they're clearly like decked out. So you see it and you're already kind of like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Like these guys look pretty decked out in this goofy little minivan here. Um yeah, so it's interesting to see where this will go because they also go on to say that it looks like there were some important people from the federal government there that day. So some of this might have also been increased security detail and them just going around and just picking up people that are like, hey, maybe that guy's problems. We're just going to grab him. So I suspect, because there's already a lawsuit that's been started from it by the state of Oregon, that we'll know more later, or it'll just be, well, this was national security, so you can't know about it.
What's
That's
next?
always
We're
an
going to be picking up MS-13 and a PT Cruiser.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? That would be that would definitely be interesting. So continuing with today's theme of Portland, and I gotta put this out here. Things are obviously going really bad in Portland. And I want to make sure that everybody who's listening to the show realizes this. I'm not talking about this because I think this is fun or entertaining. I'm talking about this because I think it highlights a few important things that we should talk about. And this should go from right to left, left to right. Our government has just gotten too big. It's gotten too big, and we have powers unchecked now on the state level and on the federal level. And if you're somebody who is taking to the streets right now and protesting over, either the federal government or any number of injustices that you see happening, I want to make sure that we're on the same page that these type of things would not be possible if the government was smaller. If the government didn't have the crazy amount of funding that it has right now. These type of things are only made possible by having a large government, both state and local. And on the other side of this, if you're upset about the government shutting down businesses due to COVID-19 and taking, the economy and just squeezing it and bleeding it dry by not allowing small businesses to do what they do, which is work. Basically, government has told you that you don't even own your own labor. You can't. You're not allowed to own your own labor. You're not even allowed to perform your own labor without government permission. Same thing. Government's gotten too big. And this is a problem that, to me, I see it's like glaring in my face, but every time I turn on the news or I look it up on, maybe online or on social media, it seems that people are so bent on fighting with each other over these smaller ideological issues. And don't get me wrong, some of these issues, they are smaller, but they morph into much bigger issues. And I get that, and I totally understand that. But I think we have a time in history right now where we could be sitting here, the left, the right, and everybody in between, and looking at the biggest problems that you see today, and almost every single one of them could be resolved with a smaller, less funded federal government and a smaller, less funded state government.
Well, it's all true. And not only that, not only is that true, but also if the governments were smaller, they wouldn't be cooking up a lot of these issues, which I think they're generated by government.
Yep.
And you mentioned that we're at each other's throats about these small, trivial issues. What's the origin of those issues? In many cases, it's government.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it is. And the thing that I think is so frustrating when I look at these issues and I see them like, wow, this would have never happened if government was smaller and less funded. Then what I see happen very often is the proposed solution is more government funding and bigger government.
Oh, yeah.
for an issue that was created by government. And so I want to encourage everybody who's listening today to look for that person in your life that maybe you typically disagree with politically, socially, whatever, and reach out to them and see if you can have the conversation, not about, whether or not BLM is right or not, whether or not the protesters are right or not, whether or not it's okay to damage personal or private property. Don't even go after those topics. Look at the issue and just have the conversation of, would this be an issue if the government wasn't so big? Would this have ever been able to happen if the government wasn't so overly funded with our tax dollars? And just have that conversation. Have it about whatever is important to them, not what's important to you. Make it about what's important to them, and just ask them that question. If the riots are what's important to them, if they feel really tied to that cause, ask them the question of, would those issues have ever arisen if the government wasn't so big? And vice versa. Maybe it's maybe they're a small business owner, or maybe they work for some sort of business and their job has been cut off. They're getting minimal hours, and ask them, would that have been the case if government wasn't so big and so powerful to just tell their boss or tell them that you can't work anymore, and we'll tell you when you can work. And oh, by the way, when you can work, you have to spend a whole bunch more money on all these extra supplies and things and other stuff if you want to open up again. Or maybe just travel's important to them. Maybe they want to feel like a free spirit and they want to travel the country, go to another state, maybe go to another country, experience a different culture, experience different food, different scenery, whatever. And now they can't because they know once they cross state borders, they might have to quarantine. They might have to quarantine where they're going. They might have to quarantine when they come back. If they want to see their friends and family, they might have to go through an evasive test of sticking something up their nose, or giving a sample of their blood, and have that conversation with them. Would that be a thing? Would that be happening if government was smaller, if it was less funded, if it had less power? And I think that we'll find with any of our major dividing issues that we're dealing with today, I think that we'll find that the vast majority of them wouldn't exist if government was smaller, had less power, and didn't take away so much of our money. I think that's what we'd find.
Well, yeah, and we've got a constitution too, and people have got to start sticking up for it. You know what? You got to start. I'm sorry, but you're going to have. You can't have freedom and have it be free. You're going to have to stand up, and you're going to have to say, I'm going to subject myself to arrest, or I'm going to subject myself to getting disciplined at work, or whatever, because I want my freedoms back. Because if you let it go too long, you won't get them back.
Well, and I think that that's what a lot of people are finding out right now, that freedom is not as readily available, and it's certainly not as free as they thought it was. That's for sure. Guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow.